Welcome to Bar Cart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about Uncommon Charm by Emily Bergslien and Kat Weaver. Uncommon Charm is a Gothic comedy, part of this new Gothic revival that we've been seeing lately. All sorts of different kinds of Gothics, classic Gothic horror, like Death of Jane Lawrence, that's supporting our copy of Uncommon Charm today. Gothic science fiction we'll be seeing some of later this year. And then Gothic comedy, as we see here in Uncommon Charm. A lot of the trappings of Gothic, family secrets, the haunting of the past, this sort of unraveling bit as you dive deeper into a mystery, but also with a protagonist who is a charming and bubbly socialite who is, of this period, a bright young thing, and not really interested in accepting the premise of a Gothic horror, to instead continue to retain this sort of light and joyful attitude, an optimism at the core of it that I thought was really a remarkable thing given the trappings of the subgenre that was on display. And because I love the Gothic, and I love books set in the early 20th century, I had to make a drink inspired by Uncommon Charm. So with that in mind, why don't we get started on a cocktail? Today's cocktail is called the London 1925. It is a riff on the classic French 75 and the lesser-known brandy version of that cocktail, the French 125. But given as we're set in London in 1925, it feels appropriate to take our riff into that really specific direction. So, why don't we get started? We'll start with our base spirit here. Get an ounce and a half of apple brandy. I like apple brandy because the novella, it's set at the end of the year, November, December, early January, but it's coming out here in May, June, deep spring. And so bringing some of those winter flavors like the apple brandy into play, but then making them light and bright for, one, the tone of the novella, and two, the season that we're in, is a fun little treat for me as a drink maker and for all of you out there making the drink at home. I also feel it's appropriate for a little heavier than like gin. Feels appropriate for Simon, the secondary principal character in the book, not the narrator, Julia, but her new friend, a talented young Jewish magician who has come to stay with Julia and her mother. So we've got our ounce and a half of apple brandy in there. Love Simon, he's just lovely. And then going to get our modifiers in there, a fresh batch of lemon cordial. We've used it in the past, and we'll be using it again. For the first time so far, I'll get a recipe for that lemon cordial down into the description below so that it's a lot easier for y'all to make it yourselves at home. So we've got 3/4 of an ounce in there. Lovely, lovely. Just bringing some brightness, but because it's a cordial, it's got that lemon zest, those lemon oils in there. It's a darker, richer, more rounded set of flavors, appropriate, I think, for the balance of light and darkness that we see in the novella. And then to brighten things up, get just a 1/4 ounce of ginger syrup, that Pratt Standard ginger syrup. The Neon Hemlock, publisher of the novella, also produces candles. Very cool sort of project that they do, pairing candles with every book that they publish. And the one that they have produced for Uncommon Charm here has citrus, ginger, effervescence, those sorts of ideas. And so knowing that that was what Neon Hemlock, the publisher, had made, I had these ideas going in and found myself seeing those same sorts of ideas as I was reading. It's a really clever thing that they do, and something that, as a candle enjoyer myself, I really appreciate. So we've got our primary ingredients here into our shaker. Now we'll get our ice, as always, ice last. Now you'll notice that this is a little bit smaller than our standard cocktail build. We'll see why in just a moment. Now, get our tins on, shake it up. There we go. Nice and frosty, good and chilled. Everything's all mixed together. Give it a stout tap. Let that just flow down in there. And get our Hawthorne strainer. Now, I mentioned that it's a little bit smaller than our standard cocktail build, and that's because it's going to be a little bit lighter and brighter than some of our other champagne cocktails that we've done in the past. Because the focus of the novella is so much on Simon and Julia, Julia and Simon, I wanted to demonstrate one of the sort of classic techniques of this style of cocktail, which is you will frequently find when you have a flute and a standard size cocktail that you don't really have a lot of space to top with your bubbly. And when you're opening up a bottle of sparkling wine, that's a lot if you're just making a drink for one person. It's really a drink for two. It's really something to be shared. And so it is a common practice, and one that we'll see here, to divide your shaken cocktail base between two glasses. You want to get about half and half because you don't want to be stingy with your drinking companion. But to get half and half into your glass, which not only makes it easier to share with a companion, but also leaves you more space in the glass to top with that bubbly. And so now that we've gotten our cocktail off the ice, it's not gonna dilute any further. We'll get that sparkling wine on there. I am using the Prosecco that we've been liking a lot here. A really nice drinkable Prosecco. Get it at Trader Joe's, one of my favorite discoveries of 2022. And it was ready to come on off. So then we just top that. Don't want to get all the way up to the top because you might risk spilling. Always give a little bit more at the end. Perfect. Oh, just listen to that fizz. Delicious. A touch more there, and a touch more there. Wonderful. And then you can set that aside. And there you have it. This is a London 1925, one for you and one for a friend. The book is Uncommon Charm. Got a link to snag it down below from Neon Hemlock, one of our favorite small presses here at Bar Cart Bookshelf. Links to the Boston Shaker, where we get all of our tools and ingredients, the ginger syrup, the shaker strainer, all that. Twitter and Instagram, where there's always a written version of this week's recipe. Please try the drink. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about what we're doing here, and make sure that you hit the bell up in the corner so that you never miss an episode. New cocktails and mocktails every Tuesday at noon. And until next time, cheers.